When we were younger, we heard so many stories that they became like background whispers that clogged the walls of the hostel, folded into our laughter, and danced around our torchlit gossip at night. We used to sit on our bunks during prep break, whispering tales we'd heard from seniors, twisting them into our own versions for the thrill of it. Stories of Miss Koi Koi and her red heels echoing through empty corridors. Stories of faceless men dressed in black robes who crept into girls' hostel at night, leaving no trace but the quiet sobs of the girls they visited. Tales of mermaids who became students, beautiful, brilliant, and always gone by the next term. Of initiation rites that happened deep in the school bush under the broken statue of Mary, where you'd wake up with a cut on your palm and no memory of the night before. We'd shriek, pretend to be scared, then burst into laughter under our mosquito nets, daring each other to sleep with lights off or fetch water alone at night. To us, it was all a game, ghost stories and school meets, harmless entertainments to spice up a dull evening. I never imagined that one day I would become one of those stories. It started on a humid Tuesday night. The air was thick, almost chewy, and the fans in our hostel were barely spinning. My uniform clung to my back after prep like a second skin, and everyone was irritated. Mosquitoes whined in our ears. The NEPA light flickered as usual, then died out without warning, and the generator took forever to come on. I remember all of us grounding in the darkness, waving our exercise books like fans, and swatting our legs as we waited for the booze of the generator to hum back to life. I was lying on my bunk when matron Nneka came into our room, a bulky woman with a stern face and a constant frown. She was known for inspecting our nails and uniform with the same intensity as a border patrol officer. So when she entered that night, we expected another lecture on hygiene or light out protocols. But she looked different, tired, like the weight of something unseen was pressing on her shoulders. Her face, usually fierce, was sober. She didn't shout. She didn't even scold the girl eating puff puff on her bed. Instead, she said, "Let me tell you something, girls. Something real." That caught our attention. She sat on the edge of a bunk, crossed her arm, and started talking about the pump behind the hostel. We all know it. The old hand pump connected to the narrow cement path, half covered by weeds. Seniors often sent juniors to fetch water there during the dry season when the main taps went dry. But none of us ever went at night, except the staff. Matron said she often went outside alone to pump water for the kitchen when everyone else was asleep. And on some nights, just at the edge of the benches that formed a rough sitting area by the bush, she would see two girls. They were always there, still, quiet, sitting side by side like twins. Beautiful, too beautiful. One of them had hair that glistered like it had been oiled that morning. The other one had legs too smooth, her socks too white for hostel wear. And when matron approached them, her touch would flicker. One of them would lift her face, and what she'd see would freeze her blood. "Their faces," she said, "they are, they are, they are, would I say, off. Not right. Like something is trying to copy a human face but can't get it right." She told us how one time, when she walked towards them, one of the girls slowly stood up. Not all at once, like a normal person, but in pieces. Her knees first, then her hips. Then her upper body rose like a puppet being pulled by invisible strings. And then, when she turned, her eyes were blank, No pupils, just blackness. Major said she didn't wait. She ran. She didn't stop until she was back in her room, locking the door behind her and praying until dawn. We all screamed and laughed, of course. Ah, Matron is a lie, someone shouted. It's not a film you are watching, another joked. But inside, I could feel something shifting, a small, uneasy coil in my stomach. I tried to shake it off, but it won't go. Later that night, the drum in our hostel ran dry. I'd forgotten to fill my buckets earlier. My bunkmate was already asleep, and I didn't want to wake her, so I decided to go alone. It was late, past 11. But I'd done it before. I told myself it was nothing. The path to the pump was darker than usual. The moon was bright, but the shadows were thicker. The generator's hum had stopped again, and the night felt so quiet, not peaceful, just hollow, like the world had paused and I hadn't noticed. As I got closer, I saw them. Two girls, sitting on the wooden bench like they had been waiting. They looked like seniors, neat uniform. One was plaiting the other's hair. Their back was straight, their limbs too graceful. I felt a small shiver but brushed it off. I thought maybe they were prefects or just girls from another dorm. I approached. "Good evening," I said. No response. I looked closer. Their hands had stopped moving, frozen mid-breath. Slowly, one of them turned her head, but not her body. Just her neck, turning away no neck should. Then she smiled. It was the kind of smile that doesn't touch the eyes, the kind that stretches too wide, like something wearing the marks of a human face. My chest tightened. I turned to the pump and began to fetch water, trying to ignore them. But the air felt wrong, heavy. The tap creaked like it hadn't been used in weeks, and the water came out slowly. Behind me, the silence stretched. I could feel their gaze burning into my back. Then I made the mistake of turning around again. They were standing closer now. Closer. Their eyes were too dark, their skin too pale, glowing slightly in the moonlight, and their legs, they weren't touching the ground. I dropped the bucket. I didn't scream. My body wouldn't let me. I ran. I don't remember how I got back to the dorm. I just remember the cold. How my lungs burned as I ran. How my feet felt like they weren't touching the ground either. I burst into the hostel, slammed the door shut, and crawled into bed, shivering. I stayed awake until the calls to prayer from the mosque nearby broke the spell of the night. But it didn't end there. The next night, I didn't fetch water. I refused, but sleep wouldn't come. I kept hearing soft footsteps outside. At first, I thought it was just other girls sneaking to pee. But when I peeked out the window around 2 a.m., my blood froze. They were there, walking past the hostel slowly, side by side, heads tilted, arms swinging unnaturally. They moved like dolls. Then, as if sensing my gaze, one of them turned, slowly, and looked directly at me through the window. My knees gave out. I fell, hit my head on the side of the bunk. The world went blank. When I woke up, it was morning. Girls were bustling around with buckets, laughing, yelling at each other to hurry up before the line at the tab got long. No one noticed me lying by the window, pale, soaked in sweat. I stood up slowly, my heart pounding. My head shrugged, my vision blurred. I couldn't speak. I couldn't explain what had happened. For 3 whole days, I walked like a ghost. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those faces, those eyes. On the third day, I found black sandals under my bed, shiny, new, just like the ones the girl had worn at the tap. That night, I heard my name whispered from the window, from under my bed, from inside my head. I snapped, screaming, barefoot. I ran to matron's quarters. I was crying uncontrollably, choking on my words. When I finally told her everything, she just nodded. She made me tea. She didn't call me mad. She didn't laugh. The next morning, she sprinkled salt around the dome, hung palm fruits on our doors, called a priest silently. She never explained what she believed, but I knew. From that night on, I never fetched water alone again. I never sat near the benches. I never looked out the window after midnight, because I had seen them and they had seen me. And I don't think they ever forgot. So when you hear those stories, the ones people say are fake, the ones they laugh off during prep or share on YouTube for fun, remember mine. Not all stories are fiction. Some are warnings, some memories, and some are watching you from the dark. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and comment. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We'll meet you on our next story. And then, don't get too scared at night.